Hello, this is Coding Gicha for full-stack developers. From this time on, I will sequentially cover how to install Apache HTTP Server in a Windows environment, how to use multiple hosts in Apache HTTP Server, and how to integrate it with PHP. PHP code is typically processed by a PHP interpreter implemented as a module, daemon, or CGI executable on a web server. Therefore, it's rarely used outside of a web context, and a web server is fundamentally required to run PHP. Apache HTTP Server and Nginx Web Server are the most widely used open-source web servers. Nginx has higher performance than Apache, supports the latest technologies quickly, and has advantages such as decoupling from modules, leading to its popularity and market share. However, Nginx on Windows uses limited methods, so it lacks high performance and scalability. Furthermore, it remains in beta version due to other known issues that have not yet been resolved. For Windows, Apache is a better choice. Of course, Apache also offers better performance and scalability on Linux. I will proceed with the installation of Apache HTTP Server on Windows using the method introduced in the documentation on the official site. Let's move on to the documentation for the Microsoft Windows platform. This documentation is also available in French and Korean, but I recommend using the English documentation if possible. For example, the Korean documentation is translated somewhat outdated. The Korean documentation claims that the Apache HTTP Server project itself provides distribution binaries for Windows, but in reality, the Apache HTTP Server project itself does not. The latest documentation introduces binary distributions for Windows provided by third-party vendors. Apache Lounge provides only Apache HTTP Server binaries, while other distributions offer the WAMP stack, which includes not only Apache but also PHP, MySQL, and more. Personally, I recommend installing each application separately and then configuring the WAMP stack to best suit your development environment. Each application included in the WAMP stack installation file is configured with a specific version, which may differ from the desired version combination. Furthermore, if you want MariaDB instead of MySQL, it can be difficult to find a distribution that satisfies this requirement. Let's go to the Apache Lounge site. I'll download the latest 64-bit version. You can download the free distribution binary for Windows, but an advertisement appears. It feels like you should click the Open button, but it's an advertisement. I'll click the Close button. I'll install Apache in Terminal. I'll install development-related applications under the Tools folder. Unpack the downloaded zip file into the Tools folder. I'll delete all newly created files except for the Apache 2.4 folder and the previously existing local folder. Apache's configuration files are located in the conference directory. The httpd.conf file is Apache's default configuration file. Opening Notepad and navigating to the file can be cumbersome, but you can open it directly in Terminal using the Notepad command. However, Notepad is a GUI text editor, so you have to open a separate window to work with it, which can be a bit cluttered. For greater clarity, you can use a CLI-based text editor that allows you to continue working in the terminal window. I personally prefer Vim, but if you're not a Linux user, Vim might be too unfamiliar, so I'll edit with Nano here. Assuming you unzip the file directly under the C drive, the server root is set. I'll change it to the path under the Tools folder. If you set it only in the server root variable, it will be reflected in all settings including the document root. Let's navigate to the document root folder specified in the httpd.conf file. Let's check the contents of the index.html file. There's a simple sentence, it works. Let's navigate to the path where the Apache executable is located. Running httpd.exe with administrator privileges in the k-install option will install the Apache service. Unfortunately, it says the VC runtime 140.dll file was not found. Let's download the installation file from the official Microsoft site. Double-click the downloaded file to begin the installation. Let's try installing the Apache service again. Let's start the Apache service. You can also start, stop, and restart the Apache service by running httpd.exe with the K option. You can control the Apache service from the terminal, but you can also monitor the Apache service from the system tray by running ApacheMonitor.exe. Let's run ApacheMonitor.exe. The icon appears in the system tray, but it's hidden. Let's open the taskbar settings window. Let's make the Apache HTTP server monitor visible instead of hidden. You can now control the Apache service directly from the system tray. Let's restart the Apache service. You can also open the services directly. You can check the progress with a progress bar and set the startup type in the services. Surprisingly, running CLI commands in terminal can be more efficient than navigating around and finding executables in a GUI environment. If you run ApacheMonitor.exe, you'll need to find and click the Explorer icon, navigate to the ApacheMonitor.exe file, and then click on it. This actually takes more time. To automatically launch the Apache HTTP Server Monitor at boot time, create a shortcut file in the Startup folder. Since creating shortcuts isn't easily done with CLI commands in Windows, working exclusively in terminal is limited. Let's connect using a web browser. The contents of the index.html file I previously checked are displayed correctly. Thank you for watching.